Well, you mentioned the wars. Now, one of the strong reasons to vote for Obama, to me, was our standing in the rest of the world has never been lower. I mean, we actually have a president and a vice president who have defended torture as a policy, and an attorney general who has written briefs on why it's acceptable, and we don't have to acknowledge the Geneva Convention. The reaction, you were telling a story of a distant potential relative from France who contacted you, who's just amazed that this country has elected Barack Obama.
It really was. I mean, you know, when you're in Washington, a lot of times people will come to visit you from other countries. It could be just the average person, or relatives. I've had a lot of Italian Americans from Long Branch who brought relatives from Italy to the office, and they were all, they just loved Obama, and. The diplomatic corps, I mean, all that's true. He just has created a firestorm. I mean, people really believe that he's going to make a difference and change the rest of the world's view towards the United States in a very positive way.
Well, I mean, since the election, you had an unspeakable horror in India. And we've got problems all over the world, Somalia, the Middle East, the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan, and now this. Bringing in, I suspect we're going to see a role for former President Clinton, who's very highly regarded overseas.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And it's not just, military policy, it's also with AIDS and Darfur and genocide and so many of these things that, the U.S. can really play a leadership role, and it hasn't. And I think that he's going to make a difference just because people respect him. I mean, do you remember that time when he went to Europe and as a candidate, 200,000 people or even more showed up in Berlin. They were all waving American flags. Right. I mean, what a contrast to what would happen with Bush. I mean, he was booed in a lot of the places that he went to.
Well, we've got about a minute left. And what you said about the crowds, I mean, this might be a good way to finish up. In the closing days of the campaign, some of the things you were talking about Indiana and how can Barack Obama win the state of Indiana. He shows up in Indianapolis in the last week of the campaign, and I happened to get a call from a salesman from Indiana who was trying to sell me a service. And I said, Barack Obama was just there, 100,000 people. He said, I never saw anything like it in my life. People were hanging off the trees to get close to the man.
And then, at 11 o'clock that night in New Brunswick, we had a picture of Kenya. And folk were just celebrating in the streets of Kenya. Then we saw Europe. People were celebrating throughout Europe. Then Asia, Hong Kong and Korea, South Korea. People just celebrating. I've just never seen that type of excitement. And yet, I am concerned because there are so many priorities. The economy, the wars, everything that we've talked about tonight. Where do you really start?
Well, Time magazine put him on the cover. They photoshopped it, and they had him in FDR's cigarette holder and hat, looking a little bit like it. I mean, that's what I think we're all praying he's going to be.
Or the Kennedy, the other one is the
or Abe Lincoln. I mean, those are pretty lofty people to be compared to.
That's true.
Where are you going to be on Inauguration Day, Frank?
Where?
Yeah, you're going to be...
Oh, no, I'll be there.
You'll be there.
Yeah, no, we all go. We all sit behind the president.
Well, I was going to... Is it a I think it's a Monday.
No, it's Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
It's always a Tuesday.
It's always the 20th.
Yeah, yeah.
The 20th. Well, I was going to say, Second Baptist might be open.
Well, I would hope to be there somewhere in the crowd. It's going to be a great day. It's going to be a historic day, and it's one that all Americans can join in and celebrate, and I just really feel good about that.
They're estimating maybe 4 million people in Washington.
Well, and on that note, thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.